the States, etc. Yung speech ko palaban eh. Sabi ko, you know, kaya kayong magaling dahil sa amin. Dahil yung mga people from different cultures to come here to America and who go to Harvard, kaya kayo magaling. Kung wala kami, hindi kayo magaling. Palaban eh, because I wanted to make it clear na at that time the United States was sobrang unilateral. If you remember, this is the time nagkaroon ng doctrine of preemption. Ibig sabihin that the US can do something, for example, attack another country if there's a danger. Because under international law, di ba, dapat you have to be attacked first and you can only in self-defense. But when they went into Iraq naman had not attacked the US, di ba? Ang cover nila doon was Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. And as a preemptive strike, ginawa nila yon. So I felt kapal na mukha ako, no, with this guy from a third world country, no, presuming to lecture them about international law. But I felt that at that time I had something to say. And sobrang nakatuwa. When I gave that speech, there was this African American. Every paragraph I would stop, he would stand up and he would be clapping and shouting. It was magandang experience. Very good experience for me.
Just ask, why did
Sure.
you particularly, what was it about the party that made you choose this particular?
Why Nationalista
Why
Party?
Nationalista overall?
Well, there's a sentimental reason, which you guys will find baduy, but I'll say it anyway. My dad was a Nationalista when he became a vice governor. He was a Nationalista Party member. The first time he became a senator in 1969, he was Nationalista. When he became a senator again in 1987, Nationalista siya. And there's something about following traditions. That's one. Pangalawa, when after 2007, after I became the spokesman for the genuine opposition, modesty aside, lahat ng parties in-invite ako sumali sa kanila. Modesty aside, they may deny it, but you ask them kung in-invite nila ako o hindi. Ang katotohanan is, Liberal invited me, Nationalista invited me, of course yung grupo nila, ERAP invited me to be part of their party. Kasi wala akong partido noon eh. So what I did, I felt that it was really time for me to take a stand, and for the first time to take a stab at politics. So I had to choose which team I felt was the best team, and I felt that of all the presidential candidates, pinakabilib ako kay Manny Villar. I believe in leadership. If you get to know me, you're going to find out na one of the things that I like to do, or I love to do, is I read about biographies and autobiographies of great leaders, John Adams, George Washington, Julius Caesar. And I saw leadership quality in this man. I believed in him. And so that's why I joined Nationalista. I didn't join Nationalista because I thought the others would not make good presidents, but I just felt he was the best.
And you still believe that in
I still
spite
believe.
of all the issues that are surrounding you?
Yes, I still believe that. Sa akin walang problema sa akin yung may mga batikos sa kanya, because yung batikos naman kay Manny Villar, it's mostly the C5 thing, and I took time, because they asked me to speak about it also as one of the spokesmen for the Nationalista Party. I took a look at the records, I attended the Senate hearings, boring as most of them were. And really, there was no evidence. If you recall, and the first thing they said was, it was a double insertion. Ibig sabihin, two amounts of money for the same project. And then we showed, no, it's not. It's actually 200. So when they found that out, hindi pala double insertion, overpricing pala. Then what they did, they presented the BIR head within that area, and I was in the Senate. I nearly fell off my seat when Attorney Francisco was the counsel for Jambi and Ping asked their own witness, may overpricing ba? And their own witness said, walang overpricing. And in fact, their own witness from the DPWH, when it became, instead of an overpricing issue, it became a realignment issue, na re-align daw para makadaan dun sa properties nila Villar. The person from DPWH naman sinabi na no, it was the DPWH's decision. So for me, no, these are minute details kasi that the public are not really interested in, di ba? I mean, they're not gonna go, hindi nila kakalkalin yung records ng Senate, they're not going to attend the Senate hearings. But since I did that, it's very clear in my head na itong mga batiko sa kanya really have no basis.
But did you go further? Because it stops at, because DPWH
Yes.
said that that the realignment
Yes.
was justified.
Yeah.
But as we know, in the past, there also have been some things going on in the DPWH. So, did you go further to find out if that particular decision of DPWH hinged also on anything that had to do with corruption?
Well, I guess hinge on anything that had to do with corruption.
In other
in
words,
regard Manny Villar.
No. In regards to actually issuing that there should be a realignment of the roads, because I think the logic that you just said stopped at because DPWH itself said that it was justified to realign.
No. Yeah, I
But
get your point.
The
I get
question is
your
one
point.
step behind
Yeah.
that is whether that decision was made without any
Without
corruption
influence.
Yes.
Kasi of course, if there was corruption hindi sa kay Manny Villar, no?
Yes,
That I don't know. Ang alam ko is, if you take a look at the records, there was no influence that was used by Senator Villar. And in fact, since it was their witness, they would have asked that na pinilit ba kayo ni Senator Villar, or meron ba kayong mga dokumento to show that Senator Villar specifically asked for a realignment, and they weren't able to produce that. So for me, since we presume that they know what they're doing, they had their lawyers, since wala silang evidence na ganon, we have to presume na wala talaga, there is no evidence to that effect. I know that seems a little bit like lawyers speak, no, but
and very often corruption is not something that's documented.
That,
of course.
No, of course, I agree.
That's why it really is very hard to see the evidence, because sometimes what appears on paper is really not, because of course the corruption is not going to be obvious.
Let me just say that ako personally, I am very satisfied na walang corruption involved. And if I actually had that doubt that Manny Villar or the Nationalista Party was in any way involved in corruption, I will not be on this ticket. And if people can show me na meron talagang corruption on that issue, I will be more than happy to withdraw from the race. Kasi you have to believe in your team. You have to believe in your leader. For me, it's not just an issue of my being a candidate, because I think kung halimbawa ako lang manalo, pagtapos yung team ko hindi sila masama, no? Kulang. I think the problems that we face are just so big. I want our team there.
Hey, sir. Cholo Gonzalez.
Parang ngayon na tayo nagkakilala.
From Voice of the Youth Network. Sir,
Can you use your another voice? Magaling na talent ko.
anyway.
Super.
Sir, kasi alam natin na yung mga kabataan, iba-iba na yung mga gusto, saan na napupunta. Since you're one of the youngest...
I'm the youngest candidate now.
Yeah, the youngest
I'm the youngest
candidate. So, what's your plans for the young people of the country? Since alam naman natin napakarami ng issues involving the youth.
I think ganito, I deal with young people all the time. I've been in the field of education for 17 years. For 3 years I was president of a university. And of course, the youth have their own issues. And actually, that's one of the reasons why I'm running, because since we are a representative democracy, and our demographics is about 50% of our voters are actually under 40, the young people should have someone who can relate with them and can be able to articulate their concerns and their interests. For example, issues on sexuality, issues on social networking. These things may be already a bit foreign to the older ones. But the more concrete concerns of most young people that I meet are two things. It's about education and finding